Alright, y'all, what's good? We're about to go over how I mixed Nine Lives by beugleboi. That's me. It looks like this. And by the way, this is my second time recording this fucking video because I sold the first time. Like I completely sold. But either way, we're about to go over my mix process, my thinking process, and routing, plugins, all that good shit. So let's get into it. Alrighty. So this is what the project looks like. Um, it was a pretty big fucking project. I got the multi tracks from DJ Dylan, who made the beat. So I have each individual sound that was put into the beat, and I put it onto one big project file along with the vocals. I didn't record in this project file. I recorded in another session, consolidated the clips and everything and bounced it into here. And this is where because I wanted to mix with a multi-track, so I put it all into one big project file. But just a little routing clarity. Obviously, I got my master. Every single track in here eventually goes into the master, where I just have a loudness meter and an EQ that's doing nothing. So let's see, these are my two vocal tracks right here. They just got auto tune on it, and I have them going into a bus, which is the the Vox bus right here, which I actually have the chain or a preset. And then I didn't have multiple background vocal tracks, so I just put the vocal chain on that singular track. And then let's see, everything in purple are melody tracks. So every single sound in the melody is here in purple. You should always do this to have peak workflow and organization, but I didn't name the fucking track, so I gotta listen to every single sound and to know what it is. But every single melody track is going into the melody bus, where I have the plugins on, and then everything in this poop brown color are the drums, and those are going into the drum bus, where I have just a compressor. And then both the drum bus and the melody bus, both the drum bus and the melody bus are going into the 2-track right here. And the 2-track is the overall, mix of the beat. It's 2 tracks because on the playlist it has 1 track and then 2-track, which equals 2 tracks. But yeah, so the melody bus and the drum bus go into the 2-track. And then all of the vocal buses, so the Vox bus and the background vocals, they go into the all Vox bus, where I actually don't have any plugins on, but I think I just adjusted the fader a little bit. But yeah, whatchamacallit, and then all the buses that you see, which are in orange, go into the master, which is in red. And like I said, I have an EQ that's doing nothing and just a loudness meter to see what levels I'm hitting. So yeah, that's just a little routing clarity. Everything in green are sends, so like effects, reverb, flanger, like a stereo image spreader, and delay and shit. And then I think this is like the original 2-track mix when he sent it over, and then I don't know what this is, and then this is his tag. But yeah, I'll play the song as a reference, and I'm gonna completely bypass all the plugins on my vocal chains, so y'all can just hear it raw to see what we're working with. And the raw recordings are not professional or anything. Like I'm doing this shit out my bedroom. We're trying to reach a Grammy out the bedroom. You feel me? But like they're solid recordings for what I got. Like you see, I got a little snowball over here. I don't have any room treatment, but they're good recordings for what they are. Um, and you know, I have a good mic, and I'm pretty sure I was, cause this was made months ago, and I've been listening to this shit for months. But I'm pretty sure at the time of recording this, I had it going through a 1073 and an 1176 before it even hit the DAW. Obviously, I don't got the real fucking hardware, cause you know I'm not having bread like that. But yeah, I got the Apollo Twin, and obviously you got the DSP right here. And currently, I use the 10 or the 610B, and then I got it going through a 2A and EQ1B, or EQ1A, EQP1A, and that's everything before it even hits the DAW. So you gotta select the, you know, the record rather than the monitor to actually print everything that you're recording with into the DAW. But like I was saying, I had a 1073 going and an 1176 going before it even hit the DAW, so the recording sound, you know, somewhat processed already. But it was only, you know, light amounts of whatever I was doing. But like I said, I'll play it for y'all. I bypassed all effects and plugins. So, as a matter of fact, I'll just enable a one knob louder, just to, you know, so y'all can really hear it and feel it for real.
And I'm not afraid. Girl, right here. What you waiting for? It's that top blue setting, it's a main floor. Fetching out of bush today, no, I'll get many more. Some faces ain't the same way as before. Been waiting for my time, when is it gonna come? Was getting into it last night, I was going dumb. Always on a new side quest, ain't no kid to be a bum. I was never like the rest, you can't treat me like I'm shown. She's in the archives, I keep looking at myself like I got 9 lives. She keep hanging around the bump, she can't be my wife. I was in that fucking song, now it's time to come alive. They keep napping on your butt and sleep on my strides. No.
Alright, as you can probably tell, yeah, the vocals are drowning, and I probably could have done a better job of, you see, I did gain stage, just not enough. You know, I didn't, you know, bring all the melodies and the drums down enough to match the vocals originally. So when I went to mix, you know, there's a lot of boosting the output gains and shit. But now we'll play it with the actual preset or plugin chain, and you know, we'll see what we're working with. I'm gonna do no effects at first, by the way.
And I'm not afraid. Girl, right here. What you waiting for? This that top flow setting, it's a main floor. Fetching out a bush today, no, I'll get many more. Went through some phases, ain't the same boy as before. Been waiting for my time, when is it gonna come? It was getting into it last night, I was going dumb. Always on a new side quest, ain't no kid to be a bum. I was never like the rest, you can't treat me like I'm shown. She's in the archives, I keep losing myself like I got 9 lives. She keep hanging around the bump, she can't be my wife. I was in that fucking song, now it's time to come alive. They keep napping on your butt and sleep on my strides. No.
Alrighty, yeah, like I said, that's what it sounds like with the effects, or not effects, but the plugin chain turned on. And now we're about to go over, you know, what each and every plugin's actually doing. So right here I got an 1176. I went back and looked at this before I even recorded this video, and this really isn't doing much. And I think my thought process behind it was, you know, like I said, I had light compression going on before it even hit the DAW. So, you know, I kind of wanted to see what it would do if I added another. But to be honest, like, we can just fucking bypass this shit because it's not doing anything. You'll see the the gain reduction meter isn't doing shit.
Girl, right here. What you waiting for? It's that top flow.
And it doesn't even have enough input to be getting the color of this compressor or anything, so we can just bypass this John. The Pultec, let's see, I'm attenuating at 60 hertz, 3.3 decibels with a 5.5 bandwidth, and then I'm boosting at 12K, 5.1 decibels, attenuating 1.5 decibels at 20K. And this is just to a little I feel like it's a little polished before I actually get into the corrective and like constructive EQing. Just rolling off the lows and boosting some of the highs to just set the tone a little bit. And then I got a de-esser just lightly brushing off the sibilances and stuff.
Girl, right here. What you waiting for? It's that top flow setting.
Like literally lightly brushing it off. No more than -6 decibels is what you want for real. But yeah, 4800 hertz. Like I said, I'm just brushing off those sibilances. And then here's like the shaping EQ. The solid state logic, I don't even know what version this is, but usually I use like the actual channel strip, but I just decided to use this one this time. Really cutting out all those unneeded frequencies, like anything 90 and below you typically don't need for this style of music. So I cut it there, and then at 156 hertz I'm dipping 6.9 dB, and then I got a 1.39 bandwidth on the low mid frequency range, and at 200 hertz I'm boosting 0.8 dB, and then again like a 1.5 bandwidth at high mid frequency range. Let's see, this is at pretty much 3000. I'm boosting 1.96, excuse me. And then again boosting at 9K, 4 decibels.
Girl right here.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually mute the 2-track and just play the vocals. I think it's easier to hear what all is going on in the vocal chain when you're just playing the raw vocals. So what are we on? I'll mute the S6, the LA, the C4, and the fresh air. So this is what we're working with so far, and take a listen. Like you can really, and when I was using the Neve at the time, I was really pushing that, the gain on the Neve to like really get that color and that saturation. And to people who might not know a lot, it kind of sounds like it's peaking, but that's really just like the drive of the actual the hardware. And I liked how it sounded, so I used it.
Girl right here.
But you can hear it sounds like almost fuzzy a little bit.
Yeah. Fetching out a bus today, know I get many more. Went through some phases,
and just to show you what like the shaping EQ does, like just listen to what it sounds like now versus when I turn it on.
I was never like the rest. You can't treat me like I'm chum.
See how it just like completely brings it up. And one thing someone always told me when I first started mixing is, and this was like an old manager or some shit, but when it comes to like the perspective of where each sound in the mix should be placed, he told me that melody on top, in like the stereo field, by the way, melody on top, snare going straight through the middle, vocals kind of aligned right with that snare straight through the middle. Like hi-hats, open hats, those can be pretty versatile throughout the stereo field. But melody on top, vocals and snare through the middle, and then bass or drum at the bottom, and that's kind of a good rule of thumb to follow. But you can see with like a shaping, like a shaping, what's the word? A shaping, yeah, just a shaping EQ. It can really lift those vocals up when you need to, as long as you know what you're doing. But yeah, I had another EQ in F6. I think kind of controlling some of the things that I brought up.
Girl, right here. What you waiting for? This that top flow setting, it's what made for. Yeah. Fetching out a bus today, know I'll get many more. Went through some phases, ain't the same boy as before. Been waiting for my time, when is it gonna come? We was getting into it
Let's
last
see,
night, was going down. Always on this
dipping
class, ain't no kid
at 150.
I was never like the
I'm
rest.
dipping at 451. Dynamic EQing at 2K. Doing the same at 4,000. And doing the same at 8,000. Kind of just taming some of those, a little harsher frequencies. I remember I did 2 demos of this mix, and the first time it was like unlistenably harsh. So this is my second version, and I made sure to really control the harshness in that vocal. But next I got a 2A.
Girl right here. What you waiting for? This that top flow setting, it's what made for. Yeah. Fetching out a bus today, know I'll get many more. Went through some phases, ain't the same boy as before.
And this is really not doing too much, but what I really like about, tube compressors, like, it just makes the vocal feel so full, man. And I don't even know how else to describe it, but it just sounds nice and big and full when, you're using a tube compressor. So I really rocks with the LA2A for that. But like I said, minimal gain reduction, right, and then just level matching on the gain knob. And then I got the C4 to really help it sit in the pocket of the beat. And it's a multi-band compressor, so you can compress and bring down or boost levels in like a certain frequency range you select. There's multiple different multi-bands, but this is just the most budget option for but yeah, I'm kind of slamming the low end because you don't need that shit in the vocal. Lightly touching the mid band, and then on the high I'm also kind of lightly touching it. And then like I said, this recording was kind of harsh, so I control the sparkle in the vocal. And then a fresh air, I feel I controlled a little too much sparkle, so I added a little more sparkle. Here are the effects. Again, always label your effects. I don't know why I didn't do it this time, but let's see, like, this shit's a bitch when you're trying to go over your process and everything. Now you gotta take time out of your day to fucking figure out what the fuck is what. So bus 29 and 30, I'm gonna guess that's reverb. Lead Vox verb, yeah, bus 29, 30. I just had an R verb, simple. Always EQ your reverbs. You don't want that low end information, that'll just muddy up your mix. And I'm gonna guess 37 to 38 is delay, wherever that might be. Lead Vox delay, 37, 38. H delay, 1/4, simple. It's on ping pong. Again, most of the time you want to EQ your effects, and this is what I did. And yeah, here's what it sounds like again in context of the 2-track.
Right here. What you waiting for? This that top flow setting, it's what made for. Fetching out a bus today, know I get many more. Went through some phases, ain't the same boy as before. Been waiting for my time, when is it gonna come? It was getting into it last night, I was going down. Always on this side quest, ain't no kid to be a bum. I was never like the rest, you can't treat me like I'm shown. She's in the archives, I keep losing myself, I got 9 lives. She keep hanging around them bumps, she can't be my wife.
Alright, and then let's see, we'll do the background vocals next. Let me mute the 2-track, and we'll kind of just like fucking highlight this section right here if I can actually get it. So it's kind of just like on repeat in the background.
Nigga, know I run a shit.
So yeah,
If you tryna take it serious.
these are effects muted. Obviously auto tune. Not really gonna go over those settings, but another EQP1A. The most broad bandwidth, which is your Q. And I'm dipping at 100 because you know you kind of want your background vocals to be thinner the than the lead vocal. So I dipped at 100 hertz, like 4 decibels of attenuation. I got it at 12 hertz or 12K. And I'm boosting at 3. Not attenuating anything at 10K. The distressor. Anytime I'm trying to just like completely slam a vocal, like distressor is a fucking move, and you can literally just load this plugin on and completely just keep the default settings and it sounds good. But you know, I was really trying to shape it, so I have a little bit of a faster attack, so you know it clamps down on that transient right away. So it's like super compressed rather than letting the transient pass through and then clamp on it, which would be a higher attack. So yeah, I had that around 2. And then I have a slower release, so you know it takes longer for the compressor to deactivate. And then I think I boosted the output volume by like a point some decibel. And I got an arc compressor, and this is my threshold. The threshold is the point, like the volume or amplitude level that you actually want the compressor to activate. So I got it at -27. That's when the compressor is actually activating. I have a really slow attack and a really fast release, and it's getting about -6.6 decibels. And like I said, I game matched it a little bit. You know, a shaping EQ. Got rid of some of that body of the vocal, cause like I said, you don't want it to clash with the lead vocal. And boosted a little bit of the clarity points and got it some some sparkle. I actually didn't have this Pan Man going when what's it called, so yeah, I'm gonna mute that. And then bus 5.6, that is the spreader for sure. Boy, I can never sell my soul, I'm already dead. Yeah, I got a micro shift, which is, you know, just making the vocals wider. And then 25-26. That is. Always on a new side quest. That's the verb. And I use CLA Epic, so there's a little bit of slap delay and then the plate reverb, so it's kind of like delay and reverb in the same plugin. Pretty cool plugin. 27-28, what is that? That is the flanger. I actually didn't have a plugin on, so that can probably just be bypassed. And then this is a delay, which is going right here on the Dove's delay. I got an Echo Boy on 1/4, and it's just on dual echo. And then, alright, so essentially I got the arc compressor and I'm side chaining, so it's ducking every time the background vocal is playing, it'll duck, so you won't hear any delay. And then as soon as it opens up, like the background vocal's done playing, the delay will open up and everything. So yeah, it's kind of just a way of, not overcrowding your mix. So yeah, and then I'm kind of shaping the delay here. And yeah, that's about it. Again, I'll play everything in context. I guess we can go over the melody tracks. I'm just literally just going through and shaping everything how I want it. Taking out some of the body of the synths. And then, yeah, I'm doing a lot here. Taking out some of the stereo image. You see I have it on sides. Taking out some of that in the... Let me actually solo this and see what it is. Alright. Yeah. Out of this bell. This is the typical DYT bell. Shout out DYT disciples, man. But nah, taking out some of the stereo image at like the 200 hertz range. And then boosting the mid image of like the 600 hertz range. And let's see, doing nothing here, just adding some reverb onto this sound. And then, yeah, here's the "and I'm not afraid" tag. I know DJ Dylan will appreciate this.
And I'm not afraid.
And then for the drums, I got the R bass kind of just, beefing up that spins. And then doing some EQing here. On the open hat. It's actually a fire fucking open hat, but controlling some of the harshness there. The hi-hat, I didn't really do anything. I did pan it a little bit though. On the rim and the snare are layered together. So I just did this one EQ and then copied it on the second sound. I guess you could have created a buzz for that, but I don't know, I feel like that just added unneeded time. But yeah, I'm here in my settings here. Again, just shaping it how I want. And yeah, that's about it, man. This is how I mixed 9 Lives by Beugleboi. And yeah, let me unsolo everything. And then, now that we're done with this, I'll get into the master. I didn't want to master in the same session because you want to have more control, so just bring it over into another session. And yeah. Alright, so like I said, I did multiple versions of this mix because, when you listen to it for so long, you find things that you don't like. So this was the final mix that is on all platforms. But here's my mastering chain. I have the black box on the mid-range glow preset. And, this is just adding saturation and everything. Then I got a dynamics. I have it bypass all the way up to 4,000 hertz because, I just didn't want to control any of that area. 3K to like 6K. I'm just brushing off the peaks of that. And then same thing with 6K and beyond. And then this EQ is not doing anything. Again, bypass. Impact is a transient shaper pretty much. For you guys who don't know what a transient is, it's like the opening of any given sound. So like this peak right here, that's a transient. But like all this, that's not a transient. So yeah, every you'll see in this diagram here, like according to the respective range, like it'll open up those transients and make it hit harder. So like especially in like the high mid and the mid and high frequencies, like the hi-hat and the snare and stuff like that, it really makes it slap. But for the 808, I took it down a little bit, and yeah. And then obviously just soft clipping, making it louder. And that's pretty much it. That's what it sounds like.
Girl, I'm right here. What you waiting for? It's that top flow setting, it's what made for. Fetching all the bush today, know I'll get many more. Went through some phases, ain't the same boy as before. Been waiting for my time, when is it gon' come? We was getting into it, last night I was going down. Always on this I quest, ain't no kid to be a bum. I was never like the rest, you can't treat me like I'm shown. She's in the archives, I keep losing myself, but I got 9 lives. She keep hanging around them bumps, she can't be my wife.
Let's see what this mix sounded like.
And I'm not afraid.
Girl, I'm right here. What you waiting for? It's that top flow setting, it's what made for. Fetching all the bush today, know I'll get many more. Went through some phases, ain't the
Yeah, you'll hear like the sibilances and shit, like they're a little harsh, and the vocal sounds a little bit lost. But yeah, I'm happy with this mix right here. So
in the archives, I keep losing myself, but I got 9 lives. She keep hanging around them bumps, she can't be my wife. I was in that fucking song, now it's time to come alive. They keep napping on your butt, they sleep on my strides. Now we gon' be the best, yeah. Yeah, so much on my plate, got a nigga feeling stressed. You can never pull my weight, you don't even know how to dress. Came a long way from the wake and bake shit was a mess. Nigga, know I run this shit, boy, you just a guess. You ain't coming close, tell me it's hard for you to digest. If you tryna take this serious, tell me what you would invest. Like coaches got me feeling.
alright, y'all. Again, that is 9 Lives by beugleboi. That's how I mix. I do all my mixes. You know, I'm not claiming to be a professional or anything, but I do go to school for this shit, and I enjoy, you know, just seeing what I can do. And, you know, it really helps me with my creative process and understanding how to correctly deliver my voice for the style and the way that I like to mix. But yeah, that was 9 Lives by beugleboi. Looks like this. Shout out DJ Dylan, who made the beat. It's my guy. And DYT Disciples, you know, young aspiring artists in the DYT area. But aside from that, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. And yeah.